Want to give it up one more time to our Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on in the Bronx, what you've been doing, what's coming, what's going, and some of the changes that been happening in the Bronx because we see so many things happening. The Bronx is back.
First of all, let me just thank you for visiting me here at Borough Hall and the fact that, again, your show is always one that wants to do the best you can in order to get the information out there to your viewers and your listeners, and that's important. What's going on in the Bronx is that we are truly experiencing some wonderful things. Let's just talk about crime, for instance. Last year in 2012, we experienced the largest crime reduction since 1963. So the Bronx has been safer than it's been in 50 years. That was in 2012. And that was a trend throughout the city of New York. But what's even more important, Avril, this year, when you take the numbers between January 1st and last week, October 20th, and you compare them to the record numbers of 2012, last year, in the city of New York, you speak about homicide, there's been a reduction, but the Bronx has been responsible for 33% of the city's homicide rate. Shooting victims, 45.5% of the victims that for instance, in the city of New York, shooting victims has declined, but we're responsible for 45.5%. And so while we want to thank the police department and we want to thank the law enforcement, I also want to take the time to thank Bronxites. Because it's the citizenry who has been doing well. I mean, every crime category, not just the more tragic ones like homicide or shootings, but from burglary, assaults, everything has gone down. And that's because in the Bronx, now we have a citizenry who understands that we need to stop the violence, we need to stop the nonsense. And because of that crime reduction, everything else is falling into place. So we're getting more tourism here. We're getting more economic development. You know that a couple of weeks back, I cut the ribbon with Donald Trump and the Donald Trump Golf Course. We're developing the Kingsbridge Armory. We have the Carrie Lee's Tennis Center in Katona Park. We have the new BJ's Mall going up in the Northwest Bronx. We have the largest indoor mall, the Macy's Mall, going up in Bay Plaza, 1.2 million square feet. We have an outlets mall going where the old Whitestone Cinemas was. And so for me, talking about the economic development, the amount of money that we put into parks, that's why when we did the tour of the Bronx, where over 6,000 people came and rode bikes around the different Bronx neighborhoods, for me it was like a bragging moment. We are not the Bronx that we used to be in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's a new Bronx. It's a new day. And I'm just so proud and honored to be the borough president during this time.
And I think we're honored to have you too because you're part of the change. You're the reason that the Bronx is back. And I can see your dedication to the people of the Bronx. But I stand behind you as a politician for what you're doing for the people of the Bronx. And I know Co-op City is making a big comeback with what's coming there. So when are we expecting the grand opening? When are we expecting to see the big change in Co-op City?
Well, for the mall alone, this time next year, you'll see the new mall. If you look now, it's up and going. But there's so many things. There's an RFP where the old driving range was on the other side of the highway. So for those of us who like to play golf, there was a big driving range, the MTA site. That's going to be developed with some housing and some more retail. If you look further down the Hutchinson River Parkway, you see this big building that everybody's is wondering what it is. That's the new 911 emergency call center. So that's going to be here in the Bronx now. That's going to have hundreds of people working there on a daily basis from all over the city of New York. When they come to the Bronx, they will stimulate the local merchants and the local businesses. We have the 125-bed Marriott in the Hutch Metro Center. We have the new Bronx Psychiatric Center being built there. We have Montefiore Tower. Montefiore is building a $230 million tower. And the things that we have along the pipeline, coming in the pipeline, and one of the things are the 4 Metro North stations, one in Hunts Point, one in Parkchester, one in Morris Park over where the Hutch Metro Center is, and one in Co-op City. So that would open up the whole Eastern Corridor and give us access to Midtown Manhattan in under half an hour. It would allow for people to get jobs or to travel to Connecticut in under half an hour, going north. We've done $700 million in housing. over the last 4 years, here in the borough. There's just so many things that we can expect in the near future. In my first 4 years, so I ran for office again this year. In my first 4 years, we did a lot of the groundbreaking ceremonies. Now, over the next 2, 3, 4 years, you're gonna see a lot of the ribbon cuttings, a lot of the actualization of the wonderful things that we were able to start in my first term. And then there are things like that are in the pipeline. For instance, I know many of your viewers love the sport of soccer. People don't realize that soccer is the most popular sport in the world. So while we have the Yankees and while we're gonna have the Ice Sportsplex at the Kingsbridge Armory and the Carrie Lee's Tennis Center in Cortona Park, which I told you about, we also have the golf courses here in the Bronx. One of the things that we are working on, that I'm working on currently, is to see how we get the Major League Soccer team to have a stadium right here in the Bronx. That would be great for the Bronx. It would be great for our rebranding. It would be great for job creation. But I think it would be great for the diversity in our borough of people coming from Africa, people coming from the West Indies or the Caribbean, South and Central America, who absolutely love the sport of soccer. I think that there's an inherent fan base there. So the Bronx is hot. The Bronx is the place to be. The Bronx is beautiful, and there's so much to celebrate. And speaking of celebrations, that's why next year, and I'm going to invite you and all of your viewers to come and celebrate. We are working now as how we do so many, over 100 events to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the county of the Bronx. So the Bronx is going to be 100 years old in 2014.
I'll take you there.
Yeah, that's important to me. So what we learn from other parts of the city is a number of things. That change is inevitable, and some people don't like change. And that means that you're going to get new businesses, new folks coming into different areas of the city. But what we also learned is that while change is inevitable and we would like to see change, that we must protect what we already have. That we must retain and respect the people who live here and the businesses that are here. So when Tony's Pier a year ago was caught on fire with Sandy, we made sure that it wasn't just replaced with some new restaurant with a bigger name. No, we did everything that we could, working with the local elected officials, working with the Bronx Over Economic Development Corporation, the city agencies, to put them back on their feet. The same owners with the same employees, bigger and stronger than ever. That was important to us, not only because of Tony and the history here, and creating, continue to create jobs, but on a personal note, we've all had family memories and experiences at Tony's. So we wanted that. That's part of the Bronx experience, right? It's about going to different areas, whether it's the zoo, whether it's Yankee Stadium, remembering what it was like with your parents when you went as a child, remembering what it's like as a parent, going with your children, and making sure that that continues for more generations to come. So working with the Bronx Over Economic Development Corporation, we were able to cut the ribbon with Tony's Pier, but we've done so much more. We've been able to designate shopping strips as business improvement districts or bids. We've been working with the merchants associations to make sure that their businesses are thriving. Working with the Business Improvement Corporation in the BOEDC, we were able to give either grants or small loans to the tune of about $40 million. And that's happening out of this office, so that we can protect small businesses, help them enhance their locations, or even expand. So while we're working with the Macy's of the world and Donald Trump, rest assured, we're making sure that the mom and pop stores are thriving and have that assistance and the resources as well.
Well, you cannot say you didn't hear it because you hear it right here on the Avril Show. It's always a pleasure, meeting up with you, talking with you, getting the information out to the people, because I would always ask, when do you sleep as a politician? Because they always say it's like a pastor. When we are sleeping, they are praying. When we are sleeping, you're up, your brain is working, you're thinking, what can you do to bring better things to the people of the Bronx and keep the Bronx moving ahead? So my question is, when do you sleep?
Look, because of the strides that we've been making and working with all the elected officials and community leaders, I don't do this alone. There's a lot of support. And the fact that we're doing it the right way, the fact that we are rebranding our borough, the fact that we are doing away with the negative images and stereotypes, that so many people are buying into a beautiful, prosperous, and progress here in the Bronx. I tell you, Avril, I sleep good at night. I sleep well. I'm able to do a lot of the normal things that people do. I like to play basketball. I go to the gym 3 or 4 days out the week. I like to read books. My wife and I are empty nesters, so we spend a lot of time together. We go on dates. We go to the movies. So I am, for me, I don't even consider this work. It's a labor of love, and not only that, when you see that that things are materializing, when you see that things are going well, it makes it just that much more easier to do it, and also energizes you even more. And again, I don't want to take all the credit. We are working with so many different elected officials, community organizations, community leaders, the community boards. Everyone is buying in to that. This is our borough. This is our hometown. This is the new Bronx. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And it doesn't matter what ethnic background, it doesn't matter what religious background, what your sexual orientation is, what corner of the Bronx, if you're from the South Bronx or the North Bronx, if you're from Riverdale or Soundview, you mess with one of us, you're messing with all of us.
You heard it right here on the Avril Show from the voice of our Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. It's such a pleasure for me to be here. I'm very proud of what's happening here in the Borough of the Bronx. I'm very proud to be a Bronxite, and I want to thank you so much for what you're doing for the Borough of the Bronx. And thank you when you think of, people coming from different parts of the world, but still can keep their culture here in the Bronx. Thank you so much.
I just want to say that we are thankful to you, and we're proud of you, because in this day and age of media, there's so many different media outlets, and so many people want to dumb it down for their viewers and listeners. They only want to talk about nonsense, and they want to talk about reality shows and everything. Your show is always informative, and it's a shame that more and more media outlets don't have that level of information that really matter to the lives of the people that they're reaching out to. People are always focused on the private and personal lives of celebrities, when that has nothing to do with them. And I know that we need an escape, but we also need adequate information and education to make sure that in our communities we are living a whole lot better. So I wanted to thank you and congratulate you and tell you that I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Conscience I represent for the Avril Show. Keep it locked, because we're not frightened for nobody. Mad.